Oh no.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is awesome. Whoa, that was okay. That was sick. That's a sick. Hey, that's beautiful. Godzilla versus the Archdemon. Hey. That was awesome. What the heck? Yo. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Dude, that was amazing. That really takes like a long while. Man.
Welcome. Yes, the video is done. It's out. Thank God. After the better part of, I don't know, a decade. Nothing too big. So yeah, welcome to the behind the scenes video. I'm gonna give you some context to why it took so long and all the little things that happened in that time. And yeah, so let's just get started. Why not? So in order to preface this, I'm gonna need to give you some Well, that was weird. I hope it doesn't do that every time. Great. So anyways, I've been asked so many times why this video took as long as it did.
I've waited years.
To sum it up, I guess I'll start with a cheeky little timeline here. So I started this video in my hometown almost immediately after Godzilla vs. Hecaton in 2015. And I was blown away by the response to that video, which is at a little over 9 million views as of today. So I was 15 years old, I'm in high school with very few worries in life, very few brain cells too. During that time period, I would just spend my evenings after school working on the video. I even remember writing the script during class. I even got in trouble for it once. It was a very easy time to get that rolling. You know, so much free time and just buzzing with passion for YouTube, making a string of content, animation, drawing, and live action. High school was definitely the big bang of the channel. Anyways, some years go by, and before I knew it, I was graduating in 2018. Just like that. All those years of school were over. Except, not really, because only 3 months later I moved from my small town to a little flat in the big city to study at university. So 2019 was easily the slowest year in the whole process. I toned down my focus on GVA and shifted that to my studies, but I still found myself with a surprising amount of time to work on it here and there, including time on campus or during class where I would draw up some storyboards. Midway through the year I moved again, but stayed in the city. 2019 came to a close and introduced 2020, which I think we can all agree was a wonderful year. So 2020 started with a little heartbreak. So I moved back to my hometown and took some well-needed time to think things out.
I meant to go back.
In that time, I got back to GVA and slowly started bringing the channel back to life with a few videos like the drawing video and Alien Attack. 2021 rolls around and we're back in business. I'm more focused, I'm more driven. I moved back out to a different town this time and start fresh. This time was different. I managed my time better and I worked steadily on the video. However, that wouldn't go unbroken for too long. I said goodbye to 2 loved ones in 2022, then in 2023, I spent almost that entire year deathly ill. Many trips to the ER, then I spent a week in a hospital doing the whole shebang, walking around with the IV drip. I mean, for Christ's sake, I was just there an hour ago. Like, this is my life now, I guess. Anyway, it ended up being a lifelong illness, nothing too special. Moved to another town with my partner where they had exceptional healthcare, and we got it sorted out, for now. Then we moved again, but stayed in the same town. So that was a total of 7 moves, 6 houses, and 4 towns in those 8 years. Anyways, life carried on. I graduated again, and the video was on its last legs. At this time I recruited the voice actors and got started on the dialogue scenes and started wrapping up the whole video. This video it's a piece of my life. My friends and family would be able to recall a time where I said, I can't do that right now, I've got to do the Godzilla video. Sometimes it was unhealthy, and other times it was all I had. It became more than just a silly video, it became something I had to prove to myself, that I wasn't going to give up. In a lot of ways, the video mirrored the events of my own life. For example, the core themes of the video, aside from revenge, is loss, perseverance, and resilience. Or more plainly, getting back up after falling down. This happens a lot in the video, starting with the Archdemon losing her baby, then to Godzilla losing a battle to the Archdemon, losing Gypsy Danger, falling again, or Ryan and Jerry failing to reach their goal in time, leading to the facility crashing and burning and a bunch of people dying. Every character essentially has a moment where they could decide to give up, and they all take the opportunity to move forward. I really wanted that to be apparent because I've learned how important moving forward is in those moments, and that resisting that temptation to give up is in fact worthwhile. But also, at the end of the day, it was always just meant to be another video on my channel. A video for 15-year-old me who started a project for no reason other than
Big monster!
Alright, that's enough of the vulnerability, the glasses, they're going back on, alright? Alright, so animation. There's a lot to say about this one. I suppose that's obvious. But if you're not familiar with Garry's Mod, it should be emphasized that it was not designed for animation. The whole animation aspect is actually a mod or an add-on, as we cool kids would call them. So because of that and a few other factors, the animation proved to be the ultimate challenge. In this segment, I'll share some of the techniques that I developed or adopted, as well as some of the setbacks and challenges that I faced. That makes it sound way more dramatic. I faced them head on. To begin, let's get into some of the technical errors first. So first up, in the early days, this is a bit of a small one, but worth noting, I experienced a record number of blackouts, like all conveniently while in the middle of animating GVA, so that was great. Hours of animation gone in an instant. Many times I'd have to redo shots, entire shots because of blackouts, and some scenes were even scrapped entirely because of them. It did teach me to start using the save button though, so that's a plus. And the funny thing about that is once I started getting into the habit of saving the animations, the blackouts, they stopped. They were gone. You know what I mean? It's like, makes you paranoid. Next, I had a lot of problems with the map I used for the final battle, GM Mega City. I picked it in 2015 because, well, it was a nice change of pace from, the spacious and rural GM Fork from the Hecaton video, but also because it was one of the only large-scale city maps available at the time. However, one major problem was that the buildings were so tall and so dense that it was nearly impossible to animate kaiju battling it out without, running into issues like clipping, where the models clip through the non-physical, non-destructible buildings. It's not very fun to look at, so to avoid that, I had to use specific limited parts of the map that were, less dense, as well as have the kaiju sort of floating in the air a lot of the time. This greatly limited some of the movements or choreography I had planned, but I think it worked out in the end, right? Also, speaking of clipping, I had a lot of problems with Godzilla's tail clipping through the boundaries of the map. So if too much of the tail clipped through the map, the entire model would be erased, killing, whatever animation I was doing with it. So I had to counteract that by following the tail in itself. Another thing was shadows, which often accompanied the clipping. You see, Garry's Mod maps have their lighting sort of baked in, which means there are designated areas for light and shadow rather than a dynamic light that can be changed in-game. Because of this, when one of the models would pass into these shadow areas, even just a tiny bit, the entire thing would become dark. This again limited so many ideas, and in only the last month of the video releasing did an add-on fixing this issue finally get made. And I recommend anyone using Gmod to download it immediately. Like, what are you doing? Go get it now. I'll be linking a page for all the add-ons I use for an animation in the description, so please be sure to check it out. Next is something many of us can relate to, which is computer performance. You know, low frame rates. We've all been there, right?
Okay, so you see the difficult thing about this scene is actually every time I go to move an object, we lose frame rate by a significant amount. And this is going to be a big scene with a lot of things going on. Oh, I just hope it's worth it. Here we go. Let's see how it turns out. Who knows?
This one was a big one. Something I faced with the previous 2 Godzilla fight videos, which you could actually see in the video themselves. But then in 2023, my computer died, which forced me to upgrade, and thankfully fixed a lot of those problems. It was actually really handy considering most of the final battle had not been completed at that point. So that's pretty much it for the challenges and setbacks. Animation was something I was finding ways to improve on all the time. You know, like any skill, the more you do it, the more you learn. So I decided to make all the easier stuff right at the start and leave the most exciting parts of the video until the end. That way, by the time I get to those parts, I would have learned more and then been able to make those parts the freshest and most well constructed. One of the things that developed over time was perfectionism, which always sounds like a good thing, but is usually a problem. Part of the perfectionism that I developed with the animation was being constantly critical of it, you know, thinking I could do better. And part of that would include adding in more keyframes to smooth out little motions here and there, trying to eradicate jaggedness as much as possible. And I would spend so much time just watching my progress over and over again, looking for imperfections. I even redid the red atomic breath scene because I thought it looked really poor. And I redid another scene to fit the new Bionavatas extraction device, which was originally just the laser gun from the Lol Rabbit video. So in addition to my unhealthy perfectionism, I had a lot of fun conceptualizing the video through storyboards. Storyboards are a great way to visualize your scene and also figure out any inconsistencies or problems, you know, really early on before you waste any time or money in a lot of cases. I made so many over the years and found it to be only a time saver. So I definitely recommend doing this for animation projects or just anything involving intricate camera movements or action. Last up, if you thought storyboards were good for reference, oh well, you're not ready for this. One of the best things I found was to physically act out the scene and use myself as reference. It's simply the best. I mean, you don't get anything more precise than real life, and it's the kind of thing you couldn't explain if someone walked in, so it's a win-win. This is the second time I've recorded this video, believe it or not. I was really sick the first time and I was missing a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, but I don't want all that footage to go to waste, so I'm gonna hand it back to old me to handle the editing. I'm sure he'll do fine. I knew it would be the lengthiest part of the whole process. You know, so many of the shots required visual effects. Almost, I would say about 80% of the footage were visual effects shots. It ended up being about, oh gosh, what was it, 700 gig? shots that you didn't even think would need visual effects, things that you could probably have done in game, but you know, couldn't control down to the pixel how they moved and how it looked. So, you know, I left so much of the process to let's do it in post. All of it was so much fun, but gosh, it took so much time. A lot of it was, let's just start with the idea, let's do it, and then think about how I'll do it later on. So oftentimes I would find myself in a problem and having to back engineer the solution so many times, and I really enjoyed that process. I think that so far is the best way to go about it. Is you know, it helps you, it forces you to learn, it forces you to evolve and to get better. And you know, if you spend time thinking about what you can do and what you're capable of doing, then you're not even thinking about all the things that you want to be doing that you know, that you probably could do, you just don't know that you can. And so I think that was the best way to do it, but it did take a lot of time. I live streamed the animation process, and then I live streamed the editing process, and the editing live stream was about 8 hours, I think. 8 hours for one shot. And so that, you know, imagine that amount of time for all 300 VFX shots. And it was really fun, and I think that's why I ended up with so many visual effects shots, especially with things that were probably not even needed. Like some moments I would green screen everyone in the scene separately so I could add my own depth of field. You know, that's something you don't need to do, but I thought it looked really cool, and I wouldn't accept a version today that didn't have all those little things in it. So I'm glad that I did it. Oh, well, that's very nice. You only forgot to mention mixing the sound effects, you know, making your own sound effects like the wing flapping sounds. Sourcing sounds from all corners of the internet, mixing them, adjusting the levels, mixing the music, cropping the screen for the letterboxing, adding blue tack to my screen so I knew where the letterboxing would be, live action green screen stuff, the color grading, the use of Space Engine, fixing errors, blowing into my microphone for the nuclear explosion sound. Making elements like the projector stuff, the holograms or the files or the HUDs, redoing the end credits sequence, making 2 versions of an opening credit sequence and then scrapping them both. But you know, not much when you think about it. You useless son of a... This was the thing I looked forward to the most. From the beginning, I knew I wanted to do something different than Hecaton, and one of the best ways to do that was to include a more intricate story, which, you know, would then involve dialogue and subsequently voice acting. So in the beginning, I didn't even consider reaching out to any voice actors for 2 reasons. So first, I didn't have the budget for that.
In terms of money, we have no money.
But also, on a technical note, my original technique for animating dialogue was to do it by animating the lines first and then lip syncing to the footage. So doing the animation first and then actually recording the dialogue. I did this with the Lol Rabbit video way back, and it proved to be both time consuming and really hard to get other people to lip sync to my footage. Which makes sense when you think about it, because no one's more familiar with the footage than me, who animated it frame by frame. And pair that with my choppy animation, which isn't the easiest to follow visually, like, you know, a professional lip reader would have a stroke. Also, because the dialogue is pre-recorded, that technically means there's only room for one take or one delivery. So there's no room to breathe or improvise. With that said, my plan was to voice all the characters myself, but I was not very keen on the limitations of doing that. So I put a pin in it until the very end, hoping I would have a better plan by then, and it would turn out that I would find one. In 2020, I started playing around with the idea of a more traditional technique, you know, recording the dialogue first, then animating it. This seems like an obvious way to go, except this is Gmod we're talking about, so it's actually not so easy to link animation with audio. If anyone has a better way to do it, please reach out, I'm desperate. But I finally devised a technique that worked for me, which was to play the audio on a loop in Premiere Pro, using a series of beeps to indicate when the line was starting and ending.
We had an experimental Moscovian bomb that went untested. We had an experimental Moscovian bomb that went untested. We had an...
I wasn't sure how this would go in practice, so I did just that by making a really short video, don't quote me, as a way to prove this technique before settling on it. To my surprise, it worked quite well, and it gave me the confidence I needed to use it for GVA. This then opened the gate to more possibilities. I was no longer restricted by one delivery, and most importantly, I could consider other voice actors again. I again didn't have any connections or budget.
We have no money.
And brought up this conundrum to my Discord, to which a longtime friend of the channel actually set up a server with a group of voice actors. Why'd I say that like Christopher Walken? Voice actors?
Foo Fighters!
Yeah, so we set up this server with a group of voice actors, and they all expressed a level of interest in the project. Sweet. Suddenly it was coming together. There were more people in this group than I was prepared for, more people than I had characters. So to find my two main characters, I uploaded one of the very few dialogue scenes that were pre-recorded before I abandoned that technique, which was the after credit scene, and I used that as a sort of audition clip. So I sent it to the group, and they each sent me a read for both Ryan and Jerry in the scene, which I didn't ask for, so it was amazing that everyone just sort of, got the assignment and read for both characters. And with that, a clear standout to me was Dr. Al for Jerry, who I was shocked to find out way later down the road was a fellow Aussie, and yeah, the very first recording he sent me for that scene is the very same that is in the final video.
Monster Island.
I also landed on another voice actor for Ryan, but more on that later. So anyways, before I knew it, I had voice actors ready to go, so much sooner than I anticipated that I was nowhere near ready to record all their scenes. So I had to put a pin in it and kind of ghosted the group for a long time. My bad. Anyways, skip ahead a year or two, and I was finally making enough progress to get started on the dialogue. Oh the dialogue. I hadn't actually written the dialogue. I had a very, very rough draft, but it was very obviously the writing of a 15-year-old with no time to lose except half a decade. I recruited my lovely partner, who is a way better writer than I am, to help me put together a polished script. We spent days making new things and refining others, coining terms such as the Bionavitas, which was essentially the atomic energy within the kaijus. So anyways, in a couple of weeks, we had a fully fledged script, complete with notes for delivery, character bios, and even clips to all the pre-recorded footage which required lip syncing. So I got back in touch with the group, where I found that the person who was previously lined up for Ryan was no longer available. I didn't know where to look, but then one day, I had a thought. Very rare occurrence, I know, don't tell your friends, but I had a thought. I'd been a member of the House of Gmod's Discord group for quite some time. If you're not familiar with this group, I strongly urge you check them out. They're like the goddamn Avengers of the Gmod community. So it suddenly dawned on me that there was really no better place to inquire about voice actors in a Gmod project than other Gmod animators. Enter Sao. Out from the dark clouds of uncertainty came a shining savior.
Your savior is here!
I had found Ryan and Jerry. Those mad lads, they offered their voices, no questions asked. They asked nothing from me, and they came through with a profound level of kindness every time I dragged them through re-recording lines or chasing them up about scenes that I forgot to mention to them. That to me just meant so much. I never thought my silly video was worth the time of anyone else, and then these guys come along and brought back that excitement that was really starting to burn out from all those tiring years. I found that passion again and understood why I was making this video in the first place, which was to have fun, to make something that's fun to watch. That's it. Anyways, with the dialogue in my possession, I was locked in, as the kids would say.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I had the passion, and it was only the dialogue-driven scenes left to go. And, it took only 8 months to complete all 15 scenes. For context, the Lol Rabbit video, which had a fraction of the dialogue, took the same amount of time, 8 months, to make. Some things didn't work out as planned, though. I wanted someone other than me to voice Chris, named after YouTube movie reviewer Chris Stuckman, who in the video was the pilot of Gypsy Danger, but I had gotten ahead of myself in 2017 by not only recording some of Chris's dialogue, but also uploading a scene to YouTube featuring these lines as soon as it was completed, meaning I was essentially forced to keep it up for the rest of the video. Aside from that, my voice was only required for fill-in roles like the random military guys.
Awaiting command, sir. Steady now. Steady.
I liked to record my lines in my car, as it was the only place I felt comfortable screaming without disturbing anyone.
Ow, good God.
Fall back! Fall back! Rock on! Ah! Ah! Wah! Ah!
Okay, that is not believable at all.
We've been informed that H-Force received tramples. We've been informed that H-Force received We've been informed that H-Force... We've been informed that H-Force received tramples. We've been informed that H-Force received tramples. Why do I keep saying tramples? Mr. Wyckoff, we've been informed that H-Force received tramples. We've been informed that H-Force received tramples. We've been informed that H-Force received No.
But it turns out I wasn't the only one with an interesting recording setup, as Dr. Al might have beaten me there with a essentially a blanket fort.
Funny story, this is actually the sound recording booth I used for Godzilla vs. the Archdemon. Yes, it is made out of chairs and a blanket, and I was house sitting at the time, so I could be as loud as I wanted to be. Very fun.
I also couldn't pass up the opportunity to sneak in a few of my close friends, such as my partner as the announcer,
Gypsy Danger is now deploying.
or my best mates in the I Can See the Light scene.
I can see the light!
No, it's Godzilla.
I made that scene with the hopes of featuring some cameos from other kaiju creators. I reached out to creators like D-Man and even The Real Rejects, who Ryan and Jerry are named after. But when I heard nothing back from anybody, I realized that maybe it would be more special for the cameos to instead be people who meant more to me personally. So I got Lukey Gray, who's been in many previous videos, and my boy Heath, who has also been in a few videos, and who was meant to be in many other videos but never bloody showed up for filming. It suddenly felt right to have a scene featuring the three of us, and I think it ended up being more special, at least to me. So that pretty much does it for that section. So next up we've got music. Music is our next section. Alright, so... Darn. God damn it. Darn. No. Anyways, this is a relatively short section, but there's also a lot to it. I was pretty bummed about all the copyright claims that Godzilla vs. Hecaton received, and I thought about taking a copyright-free approach with this video. I turned first to the YouTube Music Library, which offers a plethora of free music, and it was a great way to fill in dialogue scenes or little bits here and there. However, the YouTube Music Library is very limited in terms of grand orchestral pieces, which is exactly what I was looking for in a Godzilla battle video. Then, in 2017, a fellow kaiju content creator who was very skilled in the ways of music got in touch, and he offered the tracks on his channel to be featured in the video, which was quite the lifesaver. So it seemed like everything in the music department was settled. Even my dad scored an original piece for the tsunami scene. However, as the years passed by, I realized that the length of the video would require way more tracks than I ever could have guessed. So I did what I did best, and I put a pin in it for a later time. However, with this one, I may have kept that pinned a little too long. You see, it's late 2023, and I have no solid plan for the final battle tracks. I turned again to Polyostasis, and we hatched a plan to create some original scores. Relief. However, midway through 2024, he was no longer available to do the scores. Panic. Knowing my options were limited and that my goal of a release date in July was coming closer, I decided to make the scores myself.
Relief.
Except, I have no idea how to make music.
Panic.
Alright, I'll stop now. But it's true though, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have any fancy equipment or programs aside from just my keyboard. So I spent the remaining months playing around and recording scores directly from my keyboard. And yeah, this was much harder than I expected, and before I knew it, GVA was releasing in 2 weeks, and I still had a track to make.
Maximum panic.
Okay, that one was warranted, because I was all over the place. I was pulling all-nighters and slowly losing my sanity.
Okay, so it's 11:30, Monday night the 10th. So this was originally when I was supposed to have the premiere on, but we're still making music. Got this so far, and you know, as you do, watching a bit of Oppenheimer. I'm stressing out, you know. As I said before, this was when I was supposed to have the premiere on, like, set. It was supposed to be uploaded technically. So it's a very unfinished product right now, but I'm hoping that I can look back at this in the future and be like, it was all good. You have plenty of time. I'm pushing back the premiere date till like Wednesday. I hope that's enough time. I've nearly finished this track, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to use it. I think I might just commit to the bit and just use copyrighted music. I don't know. Anyway, this is where we're at. This is how close. This is how to the line, down to the wire it is. But that's how we do it.
Not only was the score not done, but the Archdemon's defeat was also not filmed yet. I finished the score only 4 days before release and had to scrap an entire track because of that, which is why this part of the video, I don't know why I'm pointing, this part of the video has no music. But hey, it was done and it was presentable. And in the end, the goal of 0 copyright claims was achieved. Hello. It's a new day. Lost the background and all that stuff. I was very underprepared for this section. So there were a lot of things in GVA that sort of didn't go to plan. I sort of mentioned a few of those things in the earlier sections, but there was a whole sequence, the final sequence where the Archdemon is defeated, that was supposed to be entirely different in a sense. So I'm not exactly sure when, a couple years ago, I think before 2020, I got in contact with a fellow who goes by the name of Reverend Dr. Exodus, and, you know, he was quite savvy with, you know, Blender and other 3D software programs. You know, Blender, I'm pretty sure Unreal, I could be wrong on that one. I think there was Maya. I'm not sure if that was directly involved with our project, but anyway. So, you know, we get in contact, the topic of these 3D software comes up, and we thought it'd be a good idea to sort of collaborate and use his talents to deliver the final sequence in GVA where the Archdemon is defeated, because I had always planned from the early days to have the building collapse and all that stuff, and I wasn't very confident in how I would do it in Gmod, and I knew that if I did do it in Gmod, it wouldn't look very convincing, and I don't know. So I thought it'd be really exciting to use some third-party software to do the sequence instead, which means that, you know, we're not restricted by Gmod anymore. We can do, you know, full-on like building collapse simulations and you know, physics sims and things like that, and so it was really exciting. And Oh man, he worked tirelessly from that point onwards. He he had to completely reconstruct GM Fork, the map from Gmod, in Blender, which took, you know, an immense amount of time, and oh boy, I can't even begin to imagine. I only got little glimpses of the sort of the effort he was putting into it, and yeah, I'm very underprepared for this. We originally planned for him to take over and to do this section, but you know, some things have come up and it's a little harder to put together, at least right now. And yeah, those of you who donated to the crew, you may have noticed that his name in the GoFundMe page listed as doing 3D sequences, so that was what that sequence was supposed to be. It ended up not happening at all. He was working tirelessly until the day of the premiere, until the day of uploading, and unfortunately we didn't quite meet the mark at the right time. So, you know, in like the last 2 hours, I think, before it was ready to upload, I quickly threw together a sequence in Gmod, and yeah, so unfortunately things didn't go quite as planned, and I feel really bad that all of the effort he put into setting it all up didn't really have a lot of room to play out. And it's a whole biopic's worth of story that just you'd never know even happened. Yeah, again, I'm sorry that I couldn't go into more depth, and I know we both feel a little let down that we couldn't get the sequence to fit in there, but yeah, these things happen, and yeah, that's what happened with that. Yeah. Couldn't have an 8-year-long video without sprinkling in some Easter eggs here and there, could we? I thought it would be fun to make a sort of game out of spotting all of the hidden treasures. So at the end of the video, I have a list of all the secrets and rank them on how difficult they are to find. I have to give a shout out to Nitag and Gabriel, sorry if I butchered those, my bad, honestly, for finding the 2 hardest ones so damn fast. Nitag does some absolutely fantastic Gmod animation, by the way, blown away every time, it's amazing. So anyways, I thought I'd dedicate this segment to showing you all the secrets, because as of recording this, some still have not been found. Alright, well hey, I'm doing this a second time because this video was way too loud. It was way too loud. Let's do it again quickly, let's get it over and done with. Alright, what do we got? Easy, Kidio 706, yes, there they are. That's Gmod Idiot Box and Team Fabulous 2. Alright, what do we got? Subscribe announcement, this was the announcement, the voice role from my lovely partner, which is right here. Daleks number 1. Let's just go find them really quick. Yes, there they are right there. That's the Daleks. If you don't know the backstory, it's because I kept deleting the actual ragdolls, so I had to put some placeholders there to cop the fall. Alright, let's see what we got. We got UFO number 1. This was not found. No one found these, I don't think. Or at least not both of them. So, right up in the top corner there, you'll notice... Oh, look at that. Extraterrestrials. Alright, what do we got? We got the... Okay, Falling Man. This was found accidentally, I guess. No, this was found. This was just found. No, all good. So I couldn't be bothered animating someone walking up this ledge the whole way, so the easiest thing to do was to instead animate them having an accident and dying. Death. Destruction. They're dead. That's an Easter egg. We're done. What else we got? We got the Flash. This one was found by quite a few people, probably the most commonly found one. Slow-mo shot, what better way to introduce CW Flash? There he is. Look, it's your boy. Oh, there he goes. Alright, that's it. What have we got now? Demon Eyes. No one found this. No one found Demon Eyes. I'm very sad. For a brief moment in this elevator, the power goes out. And Ryan here is a straight demon. He should not be doing that, but he is. Alright, we got alien body next. Why not? That's immediately after this elevator scene, conveniently. There it is right there. No way! It's the aliens! Alright, what do we got? We got me. Oh, me. No way! And there it is. It's actually a cartoon of me. It's a drawing of me, but you know, same thing, right? We're all cartoons on the inside. Alright, and next is Morbius. Well, this is a bit of a weird one, but you know, it's just in the little news headliner thingy. We've got raving reviews for hit film Morbius, something about Jared Leto claiming there's more to come. I'm hilarious. Okay, onto the hard ones. We've got Daleks number 2. There it is. Okay, there they are, right there. Next up, we've got the next UFO, and there it is, right there. Look at that. There it goes. All right, now onto the super hard. We have Spider-Man. Well, you already know that one, right? I hope so. And then we have Nick Cage. This one was found surprisingly fast. I was really bummed, but just also really amazed. Wait a minute, we missed something. Dead soldiers. You see these guys here that are standing? Keep an eye on that box there and how they're standing. It's right here, right in the shot. Yeah, look. They died. They all just died. And that's my player model there, but that wasn't intentional, so it doesn't count. And alright, now onto Nick Cage, which is just after the scene. Right about... There he is. Alright, well that's all the Easter eggs. Was that off the whole time? So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for watching the video. Hope if you haven't seen it already, go check it out, and yeah, have yourself a lovely, lovely day. I'm going to finish it with the first recording I did for this video of me in the editing section, trying to think of all the things that I missed, that I didn't talk about. Smoke, explosions, you know... water effects, you know, Gypsy's HUD elements.